He didn't just kill people, he erased them. No graves, no witnesses, no names. But in the 13th century, they called him something else, the Mongol of Shadows. No one knew his real name, only the way he made people disappear, as if the earth itself swallowed them whole. For centuries, his story was scattered in scrolls, whispered in foreign tongues, hidden in journals that smelled of smoke and blood. But the truth that survived is worse than myth, because some say he never died. It begins on the frozen plains of Central Asia during the height of the Mongol Empire. The air was sharp, metallic, filled with the scent of leather and ash. Under banners blackened by soot, entire cities vanished in a single night. The Mongol armies were unstoppable, spreading east and west like wildfire. And yet beyond the reach of generals and maps, there were men who followed no Khan. Outcasts, ritualists, soldiers consumed by something darker. Among them rode one man the others refused to name. They called him the Shadow that Walks. He was said to have served under Subutai, the legendary strategist of Genghis Khan, but even Subutai's generals would not speak of him. Some said he was born in the mountains of Kangai under a storm that split a temple in half. Others claimed he had no tribe at all, that he appeared one night riding a black horse whose eyes glowed like dying stars. Witnesses described his own eyes as bottomless, entirely black, reflecting nothing, not even firelight. When the campfires burned, he was the only one whose face remained dark. At first, he was only known for silence. He killed swiftly, without hesitation, without mercy. He could ride through forests without breaking a twig, cross rivers without leaving a ripple. But after the siege of Nishapur, something changed. When the Mongols slaughtered the city, the Shadow entered a ruined temple alone. When his men followed, they found him standing before a bronze idol drenched in blood. He didn't speak, but his pupils had turned into total darkness. That night, 3 of his soldiers vanished. The next morning, their horses were found impaled outside the camp, arranged in perfect symmetry, their eyes still open. The commanders thought it was punishment, but soon entire patrols disappeared. As the army moved west toward Samarkand, the Shadow's tent always stood apart, black as pitch, no light escaping. At night, the guards heard low chanting, slow and rhythmic, like the earth itself breathing. By morning, the ground around his tent was marked with small mounds in circular patterns, each crowned with a single bone. They said if you stared at his tent too long, your reflection would vanish from your sword. When the Mongols reached the edge of Europe, the legends grew stranger. Villages burned without fire, victims frozen upright, eyes wide, bodies hollow. Witnesses said they looked like salt statues drained of life. It was during these campaigns that he earned his second name, the Impaler from the East. But unlike Vlad Tepes, his impalements were not for spectacle. They were ritual. Each stake was carved with symbols, a fusion of Turkic runes and Sanskrit letters, always facing east, always arranged in 7s or 9s. Centuries later, scholars discovered these alignments matched the constellations. Each impalement, each stake, was part of a larger design, a map written in blood across the continent. Persian historian Juvaini wrote of a black-cloaked warrior who made the stars bow. He described rituals meant to summon winds of iron, dismissed as metaphor until letters were found in Karakoram describing Mongol shamans experimenting with resonance, using human screams to bend the air. Soldiers swore they could feel the ground vibrate before battles, a hum deep enough to shake their bones. When the sound stopped, their enemies were already dead. Chinese records mention a man called He Ying Ren, the Black Shadow. He was imprisoned after defying the Khan. That night, guards heard chanting from his cell. By morning, the iron bars had melted and the floor was frozen solid. He vanished without a trace. Weeks later, scouts found Russian garrisons dead where they stood, horses frozen mid-step, snow melted in perfect spirals around each body. Every corpse faced east. Historians dismissed it as myth, a way to personify fear. But in 1998, archaeologists near Lake Baikal uncovered hundreds of skeletons stacked vertically in a column 30 feet deep. Each skull was pierced through the crown, each jawbone etched with the word pathway. Instruments detected magnetic anomalies similar to those in Tunguska. Within that field, microphones captured a steady tone, 19 hertz, the frequency known to cause dread and shadow hallucinations. Locals call it the breath of the Impaler. They say the Mongol of shadows disappeared into the Gobi Desert when the empire fell. Traders claim to see a lone rider cloaked in black, moving east at sunset, his outline shimmering even in winter. The air around him distorted, as if time bent. Wherever he passed, animals fell silent. Some said he sought the same bronze idol. Others believed he returned to whatever world had birthed him. Centuries later, in 1923, a Soviet team exploring the Altai Mountains uncovered a cave sealed with Mongol inscriptions. Inside were 32 impaled skeletons and a suit of armor blackened but uncorroded. When they lifted the helmet, one man wrote in his journal, "We heard a sound, like someone breathing in." Hours later, the entire camp went silent. Tools still running, food still warm, radios humming. The journal ended there. When a second team arrived months later, the cave was sealed again from the inside. So who was he? A man lost to madness? A ritualist who spoke to something beyond the veil? Or a myth built from the empire's collective guilt? Some researchers believe the impalements and star alignments were not executions, but coordinates, a form of communication, a way to mark the earth for something watching from beyond. If that is true, then his disappearance was not an end, it was completion. Because since the late 1990s, new reports have emerged across Central Asia, livestock found arranged in perfect circles, the soil trembling with heat even in snow, a low hum in the air, and whispers carried by the wind saying, "West is gone." The same words spoken by the pilots of Flight 19 before they vanished 5 centuries later on the other side of the world. Maybe the shadow never left. Maybe he never was a man at all. And if one night the air around you suddenly grows still and your body hums with a sound too low to hear, do not look east. Do not answer the whisper. Some paths, once opened, never close again. If you've ever felt that history hides something older, darker, and still alive beneath its surface, stay. You're not alone. You are among your own.